Small disclaimer for the trolls that can't read. This is a totally organic, natural channel. Nothing is done with AI. William Durant would establish General Motors in 1908. It was to be this huge umbrella company of many different automobile companies as well as parts companies. The very first company that he had was the Buick Motor Car Company. Then William Durant kind of went all whole hog, buying 22 different companies in the automotive sector, both car companies and car manufacturing parts companies like Dayton Engineering Laboratories Company, aka Delco. William Durant would buy Olds Motor Works as well as McLaughlin in 1908. In 1909, Cadillac, Oakland, Carter Car, Elmore, Ewing, Reliance Motor Truck, Rapide, and Welsh were all bought in 1909. All of these automotive companies will get their own episode instead of having one gigantic episode where it would be really hard to watch/navigate. I also wanted to take a minute and talk about this channel. For anybody that's seeing this for the very first time, my name's Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, where we do deep dives in automotive histories as well as talk about engines and the cars themselves. When you see the cars on my channel, you see the cars like you've never saw them before. Believe it or not, I'm a real person. None of what you see or hear is done with artificial intelligence. I personally hate fake stuff that's passed off as real stuff. Not gonna harp on it, but if you're watching on a mobile device, please hit the hype button so more people can see this video in the future. Also consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon next to it so you never miss a video. Harman von Vechten Becker would open the Stave Sawmill in Elmore, Ohio around the year 1869. He, along with hired help, would cut timber for barrel production to ship liquid goods from oil to whiskey. While running the mill operation, Harman would have two sons, James and Burton Becker, who would also help run operations at the sawmill. The trio would take stock at new trends and fads as well as market trends, as markets tend to change over time. The trio would see the bicycle as the next big thing, self-sufficient transportation that didn't need to feed or have the waste issues of a horse. People forget, but when the bicycle came out, when it came mainstream around 1820, it was a huge deal. It was now possible to travel without the drawbacks of a horse. They were more comfortable to ride. They don't have to worry about getting the animals spooked. Don't have to get food or water for a horse. Just like everything else, the bicycle craze would come and go in waves, but by the 1890s, everybody wanted a bicycle. In 1892, Harman, James, and Burton would pivot from sawmilling to bicycles. Their new venture was now called Elmore Bicycles. 1 year later, they would relocate to Clyde, Ohio after buying a large facility to produce bicycles. The factory that they purchased built organs prior to the trio taking over. Elmore bicycles were produced from 1892 through 1898. Competition was fierce, competing with 80 different bicycle manufacturers during that point in time. When Elmore Bicycles opened, they had a workforce of 50 employees, which churned out about 500 units a year. By 1898, the company had 80 employees, and they were producing 1,500 bikes a year. Some Elmore bicycle models produced, but not limited to, Dixon, Standard Eleanor. They even had a race variant called the Scorcher. James engineered and designed, while Burton handled sales operation as well as expansion. There was conflicting information as to when they stopped bicycle production. Some sources say 1898, while saying pivoting to automotive production in 1900. Others say they continued producing bicycles until they fully went all in and incorporated as Elmore Manufacturing Company in 1902. Either way, the trio would eventually pivot to automotive production around 1900. Their first car that they produced was a high-wheeler buggy with a tiller to steer it, two-speed pulley transmission, chain drive to the rear. Powering the buggy was a single cylinder, which was good for 6 horsepower. Displacement was around 60 cubic inch displacement. Actual displacement was 56.5 cubic inch displacement. It was Mounted horizontal, Elmore offered two body styles in 1900 with seating for either 2 or 4 passengers, riding a wheelbase of 62 inches. The Roadster was priced at $750, which would be equivalent to you spending $29,733.93 in the year 2026. The Tonneau was $1,400, which was equivalent to $55,503.33 in the year 2026. Only around 10 cars were built from 1900 through 1902. It was more or less a trial run before diving in headfirst into the pool. In 1902, Elmore would incorporate as Elmore Manufacturing Company. After the company incorporated, their primary focus was on automobile production. 1902 did see some innovations that included, but not limited to, 3-speed planetary transmission as well as wire wheels. A twin-cylinder engine would also join the lineup in either 1902 or 1903. Sources conflict on when the vertical twin was in fact offered. Something interesting to note about Elmore: they used a 2-stroke engine instead of a 4-stroke engine. It was different and quite ingenious. It featured a 3-port system. Air-fuel mixture entered the crankcase and was compressed and transferred through a special chamber before going to the piston. The beauty of the Elmore engine was its simplicity. Only 3 moving parts: the crankshaft, piston, and connecting rods. These engines did not have valves, cams, gears, sprockets, chains. Advertised as being the valveless engine, fewer parts made more power, less to go wrong, more reliable than poppet valves. You have to remember, back during this point in time, poppet valve technology wasn't like it is now. Carbon was a huge problem. It's important to note that Becker brothers did not invent a 2-stroke engine concept. They would acquire the rights to build the engine from Clark Day. If you want to learn all about Elmore's engines, they are covered in this episode right here. Because the 2-stroke concept wasn't of Elmore's design, there were other companies making 2-stroke engines, which included but not limited to Roberts, Page Detroit, Winton. Can you guys think of any other companies that were making 2-stroke engines in the early 1900s? Put it in the comments section below. In 1906, 2 new engines were introduced, an inline 3-cylinder and an inline 4-cylinder, which would take the place of the single and the twin. Both engines were mounted vertical under the hood from 1906 till the end of Elmore, which featured a 2-step piston design where the bottom of the piston was larger than the top of the piston. It sort of looks like a top hat. Other people have described it being bell-shaped. 3 piston rings at the top, 2 piston rings at the bottom. Fuel would enter into the crankcase and it would get distributed by a fuel rail or a fuel rotor, which was a hollow tube that had ports or openings. When the engine was running, the fuel rail spins, sending fuel to each cylinder. The 3-cylinder/4-cylinder also had an oil reservoir built into the crankcase. 3 cylinders made anywhere between 24 to 34 horsepower. The 3 cylinders were produced from 1906 through 1909 and was canceled due to streamlining production. 4 cylinders were produced from 1906, 1911, or 1912 and was good for anywhere between 35 to 70 horsepower. All Elmores after 1909 used the 4-cylinder engine. 1908 was the best year of manufacturing, with 648 cars manufactured, which grabbed the eye of William Durant as a possible brand for his General Motors umbrella company. Durant liked different, and a 2-stroke engine fit the bill as different. Fascinated by the 3-cylinder engine in particular. That 3-stroke engine really tickled his fancy, if you know what I mean. More than 2, but less than 4. It was just different, and the 2-stroke engine concept, and in Durant's mind, it was a hedge against uncertain auto trends. And up until that point, Elmore produced around 1,900 cars. So Durant thought that it would be a perfect fit for his General Motors umbrella company. Negotiations began late 1908. He was interested in the rights to produce the 2-stroke engines, interested in the Clyde plant, as well as the Beck brothers to work at Elmore while being backed by General Motors. Negotiations would go on for almost a year. In September of 1909, General Motors would acquire Elmore Manufacturing Company for $500,000, which would be equivalent to $18,297,802 in the year 2026. Production for Elmore would continue in Clyde, Ohio for 1910, but in 1911, Elmore was relocated to Detroit to make things more centralized for General Motors operations. Unfortunately, Elmore's two-stroke engine failed to gain popularity. William Durant was ousted from the company that he created because he kind of went on a bit of a buying spree, buying some 22 to 24 companies, and was literally bankrupting General Motors due to over-leveraging. Charlie Nash was appointed to cut the companies that wasn't profiting. From what I read, this was one of the harder companies for Charlie Nash to cut because of its unique engine design, as well as it wasn't performing as bad as some of the other companies. I think all told, Elmore made anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 units total, half of them being made when General Motors took over. But the decision was ultimately made to cut Elmore in 1912. Elmore was gone, but the factory still has a really cool story. In 1912, a former employee of Elmore, Louis Krebs, left Elmore when General Motors walked in. He, along with Belanchi, would purchase the idling factory. They would retool the factory and build commercial trucks under the name Krebs Commercial Car Company. His trucks claim to fame, or the reason to buy a Krebs truck over all of the other competition, was his trucks had a provision governor, almost like a very primitive cruise control. In 1917, Krebs Commercial Car Company, along with Clyde Car Company and Lincoln Motor Truck. Lincoln Motor Truck was formed in 1916, based in Detroit. They were most famous for an overhead valve four-cylinder engine. Anyway, those companies would merge to form the Clyde Cars Company with Charles R. Dunbar as president. A couple years later, in 1919, the firm would be renamed Clydesdale Motor Truck Company. In 1939, the factory became a producer of steel for Clyde Steel Porcelain Company, which made tank treads during World War II under government contract. The original plant was unfortunately destroyed by fire sometime in the mid-1940s. It was rebuilt. And then in 1952, Whirlpool would buy the factory. They would make it their washing machine production hub. Whirlpool would eventually buy the adjacent property, integrating both sites into a 420 square foot operation. Getting back to General Motors in 1910, Durant was ousted. Elmore went under in 1912. Durant would make a second coming, taking over General Motors with Durant's new company, Chevrolet, with a reverse merger. But as they say, that is another story for another day. This will be continued. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. If you could have any early two-stroke engine design, which one would you rather have? Put it in the comment section below. On to the second scenario. Which one of these would you rather have? 1908 Carter Car, or 1908 Elmore, or 1908 Oakland? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. On to the second scenario, 1908 Winton, or 1908 Elmore, or 1908 D. Leon. Once again, going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any cool memories or stories that associate with Elmore, put it in the comment section below. Best story will get pinned to the top of the comment section. Thank you all so much for the community that we built. But before signing off, there are a couple really cool shows happening this weekend, Father's Day weekend, June 20th and 21st. There is the Motor Muster show up at the Greenfield Village, same place where the Old Car Festival takes place. But this show is late 30s to 1970s cars. So if you're interested in those types of vehicles, I'm planning on going up there Saturday, the 20th. So if you want to meet up with me, shoot me an email and I'll make that happen. Also, the Ohio region of the Classic Car Club of America is putting on a Father's Day show at Hale Farm. It used to be the Stan Hyatt show. It's now at Hale Farm, free parking. Registration is still open. It's more than a car show. It's a 250th celebration of our nation's history at that show. It's going to be incredible. The gates open for cars for participants at 8 o'clock. The show goes from 10 to 4. If everything goes good, I'll be there with the 52 Chevy truck, so you can see me, maybe sit in the 52 Chevy truck if you want to. I hope to see you at either event. Thanks again for everything, and until next time, toodaloo!